Okay, I'm here. Let's flip that camera around so that you can see me. I don't know what happened. It's not my phone. I know that. It's Facebook. You know, technology and I have not been getting along very well the last couple days, have we? Last night I had a problem on YouTube as well. So I'm coming back in to see if this is going to work. I don't know if anybody is here with me. Hi, Sandra. I'm glad that you're here. There was a problem. I went to zoom in on the lens and it was gone. Hi, Cheryl Ann. I feel like I need to start all over again. So let me set my iPad down. I wanted to make sure I could see your comments. Do me a favor. Let me know that you can hear me okay, if you would chime in. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Kathy. Were you guys on the first one that I just tried to do? For some reason, it wouldn't work. And that was really, you're seeing me now. I don't know what happened, Kay. How frustrating is that? All right, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Hi, Jean. Just as a reminder, if you're here watching the live, there is about a 10-second delay between the time that you actually am typing to the time I'm actually speaking. Same goes true when you're hearing it back. So there's always a delay. You know, I was on at exactly 8 o'clock and for some reason it just didn't work. And I'm going to move over to my iPad really quick. And what's really weird is look it's frozen on my iPad and it like jilts, which is totally strange. I'm going to set that down because the router is literally on the other side of that wall and we have a satellite. So there's absolutely no reason there should be any Wi-Fi issues. So it's Facebook. This is a very popular night of the week on Facebook, believe it or not, on Thursdays. In addition to that, this is a very popular time slot. So I'm glad you guys are here. You can all hear me, okay? Kathy says at first a little picture, but now it's fine. Okay, good. Fortune Burke is going to chime in just a few minutes, and she is my mom, and she is my virtual Facebook assistant. So everybody say, hi, Mom. My grandmother, we always say, had a great sense of humor by naming her Fortune. The Italian derivative of Fortune is Fortunata, but she actually does go by Fortune. So everybody say hi to Mom. So hi, Mom. So I hate to do this, but I had actually started the video and something happened, so I had to start over, and I've already pulled the first prize patrol. So I wish I could rewind it for you, but I can't. So I am just going to kind of reiterate what happened. I have all your names in my prize patrol tin, whether you are live on Facebook or not. You're all in there, okay? And then what I did is I chose the prize, which is the spool of burlap ribbon. Hi, Megan, you're supposed to be on vacation. What are you doing here? And then I pulled a name, and I already pulled a name, and since I don't want to like not let that person win, that wouldn't be fair. The winner was Roberta Mao. So Roberta is getting the spool of burlap ribbon. That is as far as I got until I came back in. All right, we've got that out of the way. So congratulations to Roberta. And I am then going to tell you that I'm going to flip you down to the stamp table so that you can see. But as a reminder, at 9 o'clock, automatically the pictures and the tutorials for tonight's projects will be right here on this Facebook page. If you are watching the replay, either because you're not on Facebook or you couldn't be here live, I'll send them to you over email if you're not on Facebook. And if you couldn't be here live but you are on Facebook, just scroll through the feed and you'll be able to get those for you. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn the camera down. You know, it has been a very crazy day here at the Curcio house. We had some new doors installed, and you know, Murphy's Law, how that goes. They didn't finish. So they got to come back tomorrow. They literally left 20 minutes ago. And I was thinking, how am I going to do this live with all my stamping friends if they're drilling and pounding? So thank goodness they finished in time. All right, I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here. 4 1/4 by 11. My tutorials are going to include all the cutting dimensions, pictures, and supplies. I did score it in half right before you joined me. I'm going to fold it and then use my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. I am going to be using the Geared Up Garage bundle tonight. You guys are going to love these cards. You know, I don't know about you, but I find masculine cards the toughest cards for me to make, simply because I like feminine things. I like sparkles, I like sequins. Hi, Julia, I'm glad that you're here. And so I really enjoy working with more of the feminine floral papers and such. So when Bob the Builder saw this, he was like, oh, you need to get that. And I'm like, okay, honey, I'm getting it. So hi, Ruth. Hi, Loretta. Okay, I wanted to make sure I got everybody say all my highs. Hi, Kathy, Sandra, Karen, Jean. You know, when we're in a Facebook group, it's a lot more casual, so I can call out everybody's name and waste just a little bit of time. All right, so we're going to be using this bundle. With this bundle, there is Coordinating Designer Series paper, and it's called the Classic Garage. And I've cut a piece here, and I've also cut a piece of basic gray cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount these two together. And you guys know that I'm a big fan of my silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to place adhesive on the back. I like to work in the four corners. I know a lot of you like to use a whole bunch of adhesive. I mean, you cover this thing like mad, you tell me. But you know what? The snail adhesive is strong enough. There is no reason to go crazy and overuse it and, of course, waste it, because I like to spend that money on accessories and stamps, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press that in place. You're going to see here that this has a small border of the basic gray all the way around. Hi, Kathleen. I'm glad you're here. This is going to go here on the card base. So I'm going to bring that back in, and then we're going to add a little bit more adhesive in the four corners. All right, who uses too much adhesive? I mean, admittedly would say that you probably use more than you need. Go ahead and send me a thumbs up or a heart so that you can be in a confessional booth with us. Sometimes I do. You know, if ever I have embossed paper, I have a tendency to want to use a little bit more because I want to make sure it covers all those little bumps and grooves. All right, so we've got the base of our card all set, so we're good to go there. Excuse me, I've been fighting allergies. Here in Florida, we are in the 80s and everything is blooming like crazy. Hi, Yasmin. And she says, yes, she uses a ton of adhesive. Good. I'm so glad for some confessions. Look, and I see the hearts and the thumbs up. This is thick Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to be adding to this layer. Now, I stamped this ahead of time only because I didn't want to spend too much time showing you how to do this. You guys know how to color. I did not do any blending here. I used the dark Bermuda Bay Stampin' Blends right on top of this image. I'm going to try to like zoom you in. There we go. I did not do any coloring in. I just colored this and no shading is what I meant to say. Because the artist's rendering of this image already has lots of detailed lines, there was really no reason for me to do so. I am going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath it because whenever you use your Stampin' Blends, you're going to see that they bleed through the back side, and that is totally normal. It should do that. Kathy is saying, since my cards go all over the U.S. and Mexico, I use quite a bit of adhesive. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Some of you use liquid glue. Cheryl Ann says she uses the liquid glue. But I didn't finish the grill or the headlights because I want to give you some tips about that here as we get started. I've brought in the light smoky slate. The Stampin' Blends have two tips. I believe that you know that. The thick tip is designated by the thicker line and the thin tip is designated by the thinner line. And since that's a pretty small area, I'm going to use that thinner line here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of color to my grill and to my lights and right inside here of my hubcaps. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and cap that. I want to make sure I did bring out the light one. I did. And then I'm going to bring in my color lifter. This actually moves the color instead of just lifting it. So the alcohol in here is going to dissipate the color, which means it's going to move. So I'm going to use that chisel tip once again, and I'm going to come back over this, and I'm just going to kind of thin that out a little bit because I don't want those headlights to look totally gray, but I want them to look more highlighted. Same with my hubcaps. So it's not just white cardstock. It's got a little bit of tone. You can do the exact same thing too here on the windshield and on the side window if you want as well. And then come back in with the Stampin' Blend, the color lifter, and then move out those colors. All right. So that's just a great way for you to use these two to give yourself some shading. But we're going to take this a step further in just a minute. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to put my Stampin' Blends away. My next step is coming back to that piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is that car that we just did. I'm going to kind of hold this where I'm going to want it here on the paper. And I'm going to grab myself a pencil. This in no way, shape, or form is an endorsement. But if you haven't seen me use this and talk about it in a video before, I'm going to give you a little tip. This is the Bic mechanical pencil. The lead on here is very soft and the eraser rocks. So if you use it from paper crafting and you want to be able to come back and erase, this is my pencil of choice. Now, I bet Walmart's going to run out of all their Bic pencils now that I said that, right? I absolutely love this pencil. What I'm going to do is I am going to lightly trace right around here underneath the car. And then I'm going to move that out of the way. I do not expect that you're going to be able to see that because I know that's a light pencil mark. But I'm going to set that to the side for right now. I am going to go back to my Stampin' Blends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shadow. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a little bit of color up underneath there all around that pencil mark. And it doesn't have to be pretty, just add some stroke lines in. Now you might be looking at this going, oh no, that's not going to look very good. But don't worry, we're not done yet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that sit because it's going to penetrate. Look, I forgot my piece of scrap. Tisk tisk. And then I'm going to come back with the color lifter. And this time I'm going to use the thick end as well. And I'm going to move that color. What's going to happen as the color is being moved, it's going to start to dissipate and it's going to become lighter. You're going to want to let this sit and process for a couple seconds before you go back over it if it's not light enough. And you're going to see how it starts to lighten up. Can you even see the pencil maybe coming through there? I don't know if it's going to pick it up on the camera or not. But I'm going to go through there one more time and I'm going to let that process. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting. Look at this. I didn't mount the words. All right, you guys are going to get to see me mount the words. These are the new cling stamps. Now, I'm going to tell you a little trick. I did end up saving my frame and I put it in here because when I didn't, I found that these images were just loose like this. And after a while, I found that maybe these were a little bit difficult to use. I like this too because it tells me if I'm missing a stamp. So I can take a really quick look at this and I can see at a quick glance if I've left a stamp out that needs to be put away. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. And like I said, I've been dealing with contractors all day, so I'm a little behind the power curve, sorry. And then I'm going to mount that. And I've got my basic gray ink pad. I'm going to use that. That's going to coordinate with that cardstock layer that we just used. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up. And I am going to stamp that here below that shadow. I want to try to get this as straight as I can. I think you guys know if you've watched me live before that my head is pretty far away. So I'm going to stamp that here. Oh, not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. Okay, I've got my Stampin' Scrub off camera. You might use a chamois. Either one, totally fine. Hi, Sherry. I'm glad that you're here. All right, the next step for me is to layer this piece on a piece of basic gray cardstock. So just like we have done before, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add adhesive in those four corners. I'm going to work just kind of like in an L shape in those four corners. This thick Whisper White cardstock does not require any more adhesive than the regular one. This is going to leave a small border all the way around as well. And then once I have that lined up, I want to make sure it's as fairly even as possible, and then go ahead and press that in place. This now is going to go here on the base of my card. One thing I want to do too before I get too far ahead of myself is I am going to mount my car. So let's go ahead and take that car. I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to take my dimensionals and I'm going to put those on the back of my wheels and then here at the front end and then another one here at the roof. You know that I like to be very generous with these so that they're good and balanced. That postage machine at the post office can do a real number on your cards. If you don't use sufficient amount of dimensionals, you'll find that your card comes out kind of lopsided. Do you see here kind of the shadow of the card? So I'm just going to mimic that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere that down like this. And look at that cool shadow. Isn't that neat? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of something up here because I thought it was kind of plain. So from that same Designer Series paper stack, I've got a small strip of designer paper here. And I'm going to be using the Tailored Tag Punch. Now, if you haven't seen me use this before, I absolutely love this because not only does it make this cool shape, but it makes great banner tips. How many of you were with me live last night on YouTube? I actually used it to make mitered corners using this edge of the punch. Now, if you didn't see that, you can head over to my YouTube channel and watch it there. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this in. And what I'm doing is I'm looking to see that this point is about the halfway mark on the paper. And then once I've got it where I want it, and it looks pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze. And that's going to give us our banner tip. But I can see that's just still a little bit too long for my liking. But look, it's not going to reach. So let me give you a really good tip. I am coming in now with a Post-it note. They're stuck together. Doesn't that figure? Okay. That's going to extend the reach on that piece of Designer Series paper so I can get it back inside my punch. This is going to work great on all of your punches, not just this one. Remember, if you're using a small piece of cardstock, this is a great tip to break out those Post-it notes. All right, that looks more like the size that I want. So this punch, Tailored Tag Punch, I highly recommend it. You are never going to have to make a banner tip by hand again, because look how wide your banner tip can be. Fantastic product. This now I'm going to adhere in the upper left corner. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to add a little snail adhesive on the back. My silicone craft sheet, I think you guys know, one of my very, very favorite accessories here in my stamp room, because it keeps my work surface from getting adhesive on it and becoming sticky. I'm going to mount that here at the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my finger just to give this a little bit of a curl, just so it has a little bit of a texture on it. And then I thought it was still kind of plain. So let's do some embossing. I've got a piece of silver foil sheet. Now I know that's going to be like crazy blinding, and I'm sorry about that. That's just the reflection of the foil and the lights. And I'm going to come in here to the Garage Gears Thinlits. I'm loving these because it die cuts all the images that are inside the stamp set, and then some. So I've got some gears here, but look at the real big one on the back side. I'm really enjoying that. And if you've watched my videos, you'll see that I had actually used that to teach a technique where I ink the dies. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot, and I've got my magnetic platform here. So let me go ahead and take that clear plate out. I've got the platform itself here, and then I've got a clear cutting mat on the bottom to protect it. So here's my foil, and then here is my die. How many of you have experienced where all this scratching and marring from your plates transfers to your foil? Yep, me too. And you want to know a great little trick? Remember that Post-it note? You can use that or a scrap piece of white cardstock, or I'm sorry, white paper. So it just needs to be thin. Put it over the top. What's going to happen then is it's going to ensure that none of these scratch marks are going to come up to your foil. I'm going to use actually a bigger piece because I want to make sure that I cover all this foil so that I don't waste it, so I can use it on another project, right? And then I'm going to lay that over the top, and then I'm going to crank that through. Now every Big Shot's a little bit different. The tension in your rollers might be stronger than mine. Sometimes on the very detailed dies, I'll have to crank it through twice. This one I don't typically have to, and there it is. Isn't that great? I have to use my Take Your Pick pickup tool for this, and let me interchange my tip on here. I absolutely love this thing. If you guys don't have this, this is going to be the best $10 you've ever spent. It's embedded into the plate simply because of the marring on there, which is normal. You want that to happen. That's going to protect the platform that's underneath. So there we go. We have that gear. So I'm going to set that aside. Let me put my little die in my little magnet tray so I don't lose that. Push this off to the side, make a little bit of room. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a hole. I'm going to add a brad to this. So here I go. I've got my pierce mat here, and I've got my little cog. And then I have my paper piercing tool on the back of my pick up tool. Gosh, that's a lot of words to say at one time. I'm going to poke a hole in there because I'm going to add a brad, just because of a decorative element. Also, if you watched my video last night, you saw where I used the metallic brads. They're gold, silver, and copper. And believe it or not, for some reason, I seem to be using a lot of the silver ones. And I didn't have the size that I wanted, nor the color. So I thought, you know what am I going to do? So I took a gold one and my Stampin' Blends, and look what I did. I changed the color. I changed it to match my card. So this is the dark Bermuda Bay. It's the same one I used to color in the car. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my tool, I'm going to poke a hole in the center. I'm kind of leaving it there until I'm ready. And then I'm going to poke that inside, and then I'm going to lift. And then I'm going to open up the prongs to the back. Now, one thing about these prongs, you're going to notice that they're a lot bigger than my cog or my gear. So I come in with my sticky scissors. These are my workhorse scissors. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to snip off what I don't need, because I certainly don't want that showing from the other side. So I'm just going to cut those off. And then I'm going to press that in place because I want to make sure that that's as good and flat as possible. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add a dimensional to the back side. So I'm going to press there, take off that paper backing, and then this is going to go right in the middle of here. Now tonight, this is going to have that Bermuda Bay color. on your tutorial, it's going to have a silver one. I just happened to run out of those. So we're going to flip that over now. It's going to be a little bumpy, but that's okay. I can get the adhesive on there because the stale adhesive rolls really easily. It's just a great product. Refillable for $4.50 as well. And then I'm going to mount that right here in the center of my card base. There we go. We've got our card. Isn't that sharp and so easy? How do you guys like this shadow underneath the bottom of that card? Isn't that just kind of add a little bit of extra oomph to this? All right, and now I have other samples for you that I wanted to share. Let me pull those out of my little tub right here, all using the exact same bundle of product. This is the Geared Up Garage. Here is my next one. I used that corrugated embossing folder here. Oh, you guys like it. I'm so glad. That makes me feel good. These little metal elements are part of this whole suite of products in the Occasions catalog, and I love them. So you can see here that I die cut some more in the silver foil like I did here, and I did one in black. That ribbon is also part of that suite, and I just used the ovals dies. Really, really simple, but that'll give you another idea of what you could do with the designer paper and the stamps. Here's another. This one is offset on purpose. So some of you might be looking at going, why is everything to the right? Because you know what? I don't like expected projects. I like when I work outside of the box. So I put the designer paper all the way over to the right, and then I mimicked the image from that paper with one of the images in the stamp. And of course there's dies, and there's that cute little key that's part of those metal elements. So that's our third one. And then last but not least is this one for Father's Day. Shh, don't tell Bob the Builder, but this is going to be his Father's Day card. He's a Mr. Fix-It, and we call him Bob the Builder for a reason. There we go. We've got that wrench. You'll see that I used the key here and I used the wrench here. So I used one more of the wrenches. I had a little bit of that burlap thread. Remember I told you how I separate the strands? That's what I've done here. Stitched rectangle dies to make a frame, and I just added that embellishment towards the top to be just a focal point on this card. So these are the 4 cards that are going to be in your tutorial tonight. Now let me turn the camera around. I'm trying to read on the screen. You guys like the shadow. Okay, good, good. You received the Lace Dynamic folder. Can you tell me how to run it through the Big Shot? I'm having trouble. Julia, yes. Julia, do me a favor. Send me an email. That's going to require some step-by-step, and I don't necessarily want to do it right here while we're live, but I will be happy to help you with that. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, maybe we could schedule a call and we can actually do it over the phone together. Hi, Patty. I didn't see you sneak in. I'm glad you like the cards. Thank you. All right, let's do another prize patrol. Let me see what I've got here. I have a package of watercolor paper. Love this, and you're going to be glad if you're the winner, because wait till you see a card I've got coming up with this in just a couple weeks. And I've got your names in here again. Good, you guys like the cards. I'm glad. Ruth says she likes the shadow effect. All right, and I'm digging around. I'm mixing them up. I'm going deep in the corners too to make sure I mix them. I want to make sure I have just one, and I do. And the winner of the watercolor paper is Casilda. I think I saw her on with us live. Isn't she here? I could have sworn I saw her. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was just imagining that. Casilda, you are the winner of the watercolor paper. Congratulations. I've put your name on that, and I will get that off in the mail to you. No, Julia, don't give up. I'm happy to help you. Just let me know. Yay, Casilda, you just bought the watercolor. Well, you know what? Here's the good news. It's a consumable product, and you'll need more. I promise you. You are very welcome. All right, let me clear this out of the way. I'm going to turn the camera down, and we're going to go on to our second project. Okay. You know, the one thing about YouTube that I was kind of getting spoiled on is once I have my camera adjusted, I don't have to adjust it again when I go back and forth between the front and the back camera. Yeah, I was getting a little spoiled by that, that's for sure. All right, let me just get that punch out of the way and let me slide around my products, because this one actually has a little bit more than the first one, and I'm going to need to move those into the camera view. Now, before we go too far, I want to talk about this. This is what's starting tomorrow. If you are not aware, tomorrow Stampin' Up's coordination sale begins. These products you can purchase. They are available only in the month of March while supplies last. Very, very important. So if you want the coordinating dies to any of those celebration stamp sets, you better order tomorrow, because I'm going to tell you what, I totally suspect that this Lasting Lily will be the first one to go. I really do. Isn't that stamp set's beautiful? I think the frogs are also going to be a quick seller. There are 2 new products as well. There's a story label punch, and there's the More Than Words stamp set. Keep your eye on my videos. Next week, Monday and Wednesday, you're going to see me use these in those videos. These are fantastic products. I think you're going to really enjoy them. Okay, so that starts tomorrow, only while supplies last in March. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that so I didn't forget. All right, speaking of Lasting Lily, how about if we use it? I came up with some really beautiful cards using this stamp set that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to start with a piece of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to do some stamping first. Let me grab a piece of grid paper. I'm actually stepped away, but because of the beauty of my cordless microphone, I can step like literally just from the desk and you don't even know it. Isn't that great? All right, because I want to make sure that I don't get ink on the work surface. So I'm going to do some stamping, and I'm going to be using Daffodil Delight and Garden Green. And just like before, for some reason, I didn't mount the images, so I'm going to do that really quick. Excuse me for coughing in your ear. My apologies. The allergies are just horrible right now. Just really struggling with these. If you're wondering why mine look pink, that's because I have used them in Melon Mambo ink. And when you do, they actually pick up the pigmentation from that ink, and they will stain the photopolymer. In no way, shape, or form does it hinder the use of the stamp. Now, I hope you're noticing how I'm mounting these, because I get asked questions about this a lot. How come you don't pick it up and stick it on here? You know what? Because I find the oils and everything from my skin have a tendency to break down the adhesion to my block. So I just press them on, and that's just the easiest way for me. This stamp is beautiful, isn't it? Now, because this is a specific size for the card that I'm making tonight, we are actually going to work backwards. We are going to start with the flower, with the lily, and then we're going to build the stem, because I learned the hard way. Hi, Doris. I'm glad that you're here. That if I did the stem first, that sometimes I was like, oh, no, it's not going to fit. So we're going to work backwards. So I've got my Daffodil Delight ink pad here, and I'm going to ink this up. Now, I purposely cut another piece of paper for this stamp because I want to give you a little bit of information about this. This is what we call a distinctive stamp, which means it was designed specifically to look more like a photograph than it does a stamped image. But if your ink pad is too juicy, what's going to happen is you're going to lose all that beautiful detail that's here. Do you see it? This one actually looks pretty good. But just for a point of reference, I cut myself another piece and I want to show you. I had done a quick tip video about this, and boy, I caught a lot of flack about it. And it wasn't from you, but it was from other demonstrators and some other people. They said, Lisa, we didn't like that you took this and you blotted off some ink because we thought that that was a waste. I get that. I mean, I buy an ink refill for all of my ink pads because at some point they're going to need them. So I want to give you the second remedy, which is the plastic disposable spoon. This is a smooth surface. If you rub the ink down inside the ink pad, you actually see it turning lighter here. The great thing about the spoon is, guess what? You can just pitch it in the garbage. Now what's going to happen? Let me show you. I'm going to ink up that same lily, and I'm going to stamp it right here at the top. Lots of firm, even pressure. Make sure we get a really good impression. But do you see the difference? Look, darker, lighter, but you can see the detail in this one a lot better than you can in this one, primarily around here, where the stamp has been shaded that way on purpose. Hi, Heidi. I'm glad that you're here. No problem that you're late. I'm glad that you could make it by. All right, so this is the one I'm going to work with tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that right off camera, and I'm going to switch now over to the Garden Green to work on the stem. This is absolutely a beautiful stamp set, isn't it? I'm telling you what, I'm loving it. The larger stem without the leaf is meant for the larger lily. The smaller lily was intended for this stem. All you have to do is do it wrong once and you can totally figure that out. Boy, I did that at first. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink this up. And I know my stem is not going to fit on this entire piece of paper. That's why I've got my scratch cardstock underneath. And I'm going to do my best to line this up because my head's kind of far. And then we're going to stamp that. All right, so these should be connected. And I'm going to switch over now to that leaf. Do you see how it bends here? There's a beautiful artist rendering in this stamp when they've made this distinctive image to actually look like the leaf is twisted. It's absolutely stunning. And again, if your ink is too wet, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to press and I'm going to stamp. But do you see it? Isn't that beautiful? Oh, so pretty. So, so pretty. All right, so now we've got our image nice and simple. I'm going to close up my ink pad. Ink pads that are open at my house are always a very dangerous thing. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to border that on a piece of Designer Series paper. Now, if you're wondering where this is from, wonder no more. Do you see it? This is the Botanical Butterfly Designer Series paper. This paper is still a free selection. Yes, it's still available during celebration with a $50 product order. Remember that there was a second edition of additional products as well that came out on February 15th. So all I did was I just flipped this over and I used that for this card. So like we've done before, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add adhesive to the back, and I'm working primarily on those four corners. Heidi, I know that you just joined us, but we talked about if we waste adhesive or not. And I think we said that most of us are pretty guilty of it. And then I'm going to border this. I'm looking to make sure that I have a border on either side, but I'm working the image from top to bottom, and then we'll press that in place. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to use a piece of basic black cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 11. I scored it in half right before you joined me. And you know me, I'm going to use that bone folder. I love that for that crisp edge. And this image is going to get mounted here, but we're going to do something a little bit different. I am going to add adhesive to the back, and this time I'm going to work a little bit more generously with small dashes of adhesive around the border. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate this all the way at the top where the crease is for this card. So this is the fold up here at the top. I'm looking to line it up, trying to make it straight, and then we'll press that in place. I'm moving my focal point up on purpose because you know what? Look at that designer paper. It really stands out. The obvious placement is in the center of your card, right? So don't be afraid to experiment. Move things to one side, to the top, or to the bottom to get a different look on what you're doing. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the greeting from this stamp set. And we are going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some embossing. Now, I didn't mount this image either, but I'm telling you what, those contractors kept me here until 10 minutes to 8, and I was like, you people got to leave. I got to be with my stamping friends. I am going to be stamping on a small piece of basic black cardstock, and I'm going to be doing some embossing. So I'm going to bring in my embossing tray. Stampin' Up! Used to sell these. We don't sell them anymore. I know, boo hiss. We had a big one and we had a small one. You could buy them as a set. They were fabulous. I kept them. That's how much I love them. I'm going to get my Whisper White embossing powder ready so that it's ready to go. I like to work over a coffee filter so that any excess powder I can put right back into that jar and it's not wasted. When you are going to emboss a greeting, it's really especially important with words that you use the embossing buddy on the cardstock. And the reason is it's going to tell the powder only to stick where you have placed ink. To me, that's like a big bonus. This way, it's going to avoid those small flecks of white embossing powder that sometimes stick statically, and then when you heat set it, they stick around your image or around your words. Okay, so I've got my Whisper White Craft Stampin' Pad. This is a pigment ink. I love to use it when I am using white embossing powder because if, for heaven forbid, I miss a spot, then I know that that white ink is going to pink through. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to stamp my greeting right here in the center. All right, and I'm going to gently peel that off. So I didn't do a great job. My head's kind of far. We're going to stick with that because it truly is. Here we go. We've got our embossing powder, and then you're going to powder this very generously. Don't worry about how much you put on there because remember, that coffee filter is going to catch it. It's going to allow us to put it right back inside the jar. So let me show you. I kind of just dust off the bottom. I pinch my coffee filter and then I pour it right back inside the bottle. There is very little waste, if any. And then you're able to recap this. The great thing about these paper coffee filters is you can just throw them away. You don't really have anything to clean up. I found that you can still get these at Costco or Sam's Club in bulk. Now, I did not bring out the heat tool tonight simply because I knew it was going to be super loud, and believe it or not, they actually turned off some of my power today for some of the tools that they were using, and I was concerned I wouldn't have power back because they were here until the very last minute when I had to be with you. So we're going to pretend I'm using my heat tool, and we're going to dry that. So I've got one here that's already finished. All right, that's the magic of live television, right? So I'm going to add that to my card, and I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to take a couple dimensionals, and I'm going to put them here on the back, and we'll take off that paper backing. Hopefully some of you are giggling with me about that whole, faux embossing thing. I am now going to take this greeting and I'm going to move it all the way to the right side of my card base, and I'm going to overlap that image slightly. Again, looking for a very uneven, different layout. My last little thing that I'm going to do here is I am going to add some metallic and white baker's twine. Now, I realize right now that I cut this card wrong. Let me show you. But you know what? I'm going to show you a remedy. Here's the card that's in your tutorial. Do you see? It's just a standard card with the fold on the side. Look what Lisa did. She made the fold on the top, which means there's no way to get the twine going this way. So let me show you. Here is a trick. I am grabbing my 1/16 inch handheld punch. You know what? I think I'm going to go just a little bit bigger to make my life easier. This is a 1/8. Right here on the fold where I'm going to want this to lay, I am keeping the card folded and I am punching just a portion of that circle. Let me open it so you can see it. Do you see it? When it's closed, it looks just like a notch. So it's not going to be very obtrusive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through here. I'm going to work on the inside of my card. And then I'm going to put that through the hole. Now keep in mind, when you open up that crease, that makes that hole look bigger. But when it's closed, it's actually not big at all. And then I like to work with this while it's still on the spool so I get an idea of about how much I want. There's nothing worse than cutting this too short and then you are fighting with a short end to try to make a bow. All right, so that seems to be enough. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up around here and I am going to make a tie about where I want the bow. Now I want to give you a trick. If you have trouble making the bow because this keeps getting undone and it gets loose, take a glue dot. I'm going to peel this back. Take your piercing tool on your pickup tool, and I want you to make this into a little tiny ball. And it doesn't even matter if it's pretty. I'm going to take it with my fingers and I'm going to roll it up even smaller. I'm going to put it back on here and I'm going to place it where I want it. That little tiny glue dot is going to take all the fuss out of trying to make this bow. It's going to hold that in place. So your tension has been held for you. I recommend whenever you're using baker's twine or linen thread, because it's very, very thin, that you make a knot first. That's going to ensure, in case it comes in and out of the envelope when it's being mailed, that it's not going to come undone. Because if it does come undone, then obviously you have nothing but loose ends. This at least will leave you a bow. And then I'm going to come up around here and I am going to make a bow. Now, I find that those loops are a little bit too big. Put your finger right here on the knot and then gently pull. Because of the silver filament in this baker's twine, that loop is going to twist and it's going to curl and it's probably going to make you crazy. It's okay. I find with time, it just kind of straightens itself out, which is what I did on this one here. See how it just kind of relaxes after a while? It's from the tension of pulling it. So this one that's going to be in your tutorial actually has the fold on the side. This one has the fold on the top, but I wanted to show you how you can make that small little notch with your punch so that you're able to thread through your twine with ease. All right, so here's the card that we created tonight. Let me show you the other samples using the Lasting Lily. Remember, these framelits are going to be for sale tomorrow. All part of that coordination sale. Here they are. Make sure you order them if you've got that lasting lily. Now, if you chose the So Happy or the So Hoppy together, the frogs, there's dies for those. There's dies for the cupcake. And of course, there's dies for the Painted Season stamp set that's offered as a bundle with the designer paper. And of course, those 2 new products. All right, so here come my other card samples. Okay, so here's another one. Isn't this beautiful? All right, very, very simple. You're probably wondering how I got those lines across there. So let me explain. What I did is I made a template out of a piece of cardstock. And this is all in your written instructions, but I'm just going to walk you through it. It's 3.5 by 4.5. And I laid it on the card after I stamped it. And I took my basic black marker and I just traced around there. And then I lifted. And that gave me that penciled in frame. Isn't that pretty? Here's another. Isn't this pretty? This is that Tea Room Designer Series paper that I used here. Oh, I'm glad you guys like these. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Look at those. Share what you love, Artisan Pearls, right on the side of that banner, which literally is behind the first 2 layers. So real simple palette. I used only the small lilies on this one. And then last but not least, we have this one. I used the crumb cake and the cherry cobbler. And I added a little bit of gold glimmer paper just to give this a little bit of pizzazz with some vintage ribbon. But isn't that pretty? See how I rounded 2 opposite corners? Oh, I'm so glad that you guys like these. Isn't this a gorgeous, gorgeous stamp set? I'm going to tell you right now, if you are going to place another order during celebration, try to get to 100 so that you can get this. Remember, if you buy the framelets, these products are for sale. These are not redeemable for free. If you get these and you purchase them, then you can redeem this stamp set for free. Kathleen says she loves the crumb cake paper. Isn't this a striking combination? I'm so glad that you like them. Thank you, Patty, Cheryl Ann. Thank you. I'm turning the camera around. Oh, Cheryl Ann says she loves the crumb cake and the daffodil. Oh, I'm so glad. Beautiful. Thanks, Mom. You know, your mom's always your biggest cheerleader. She's going to like everything I make because that's just how my mom is. Doris says she likes them. They're beautiful. Gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, when I design the cards for your tutorials for Live with Lisa, I try really hard to work outside of that comfort zone. I want to come up with unusual color combinations and layouts and things that you can try at home. The best part of the tutorials are not just so that you can copy them, are the layouts that you can use with other stamp sets. So those are going to be all uploaded here for you guys at 9 o'clock. So you'll get the pictures and all the tutorials. Heidi says they're all beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Kathy. She says all the colors are lovely. Thank you. I am so glad that you like them. All right, let's do this. Let's do another prize patrol, and then I am going to show you the card making kit for March. All right, so I'm shaking up your names, and let's see what I have gotten here. I have a package of Whisper White note cards and envelopes for a lucky winner. You know what? I keep looking at this. This microphone keeps pulling down my shirt. You know, this is one of those, like, I don't know, those polyester kind of tops that are kind of loose. And that microphone, it's not heavy, but boy, it sure looks like it, doesn't it? All right, let me mix you guys up. And we're going to pull one name. I want to make sure I just have one because we've got another prize to give away. And the winner is Alice Rogers. Congratulations, Alice. I am grabbing my glue dot. You are a winner of the Whisper White note cards and envelopes. Congratulations. I will get those in the mail to Alice tomorrow. Fantastic. All right, let me turn the camera down again, and I'm going to clear off the desk, and then I'm going to show you the card making kit for March. Okay, here we go. All right, now I got to zoom you in again. Yay, Alice. It's so fun to win, huh? No matter what it is. I love winning. Winning is a fun thing, isn't it? All right, so let me move that out of the way. Move that embossing powder out of the way. All right, you ready for the March kit? Here we go. We are going to use the Sweetest Thing bundle. I saw this and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so stinking cute because it's different. I am super excited about this, and wait till you see my cards. The dies in here cut out all the images. In addition to that, you've got several different frames. I have a die that just kind of slipped on me. That one goes up here. You're also going to have dies for extra candy pieces that are not even part of the stamped images. So you're going to look at this and say, oh, that could cut that out. Yeah, you could, but it's not the silhouette. This is the silhouette for that image. This are extra little pieces that you can cut from colored cardstock to make really quick, amazing cards. Sandra says, I've been waiting for this one since you announced it in January. Can I tell you what the other kits are? Yes, Sandra, the other kits are already on our VIP page. They're already listed there, but I'll be happy to tell you. Don't let me forget. Let me get through this one, and then I'll talk to you about the other ones. All right, so this is the card making kit bundle for March. Remember, you are not obligated to buy this. If you have something similar like it at home, or you want to substitute for whatever you want, you absolutely can. $50 product order of anything is automatically going to get you a celebration item for free, and it's going to get you my card making kit order. You must use the exclusive host code for the card making kit. And to clarify, you are not eligible for my free product gift when you get the card making kit. I want to make sure that you understand why. I cannot afford to do both. I would love to. I can't. So you're going to get the free pre-cut supplies. So you'll make 2 of these. Look at the fun gatefold on this. You're going to get them in 2 different designer series paper. This suite of products has amazing designer series paper. And because it comes assorted, I paid close attention to make sure that they would go well with both cards. So you're going to get 1 of each of these in the kit. You're going to get a total of 8 cards. Remember, all the designer paper and all the cardstock is pre-cut and ready to go. I'm also going to give you thick Whisper White cardstock so that if you want to use Stampin' Blends to color in those little gumdrops, and you can. Otherwise, you can use markers, but thick Whisper White cardstock is wonderful. Here is the second card that you're going to create. Isn't this sharp? I'm going to give you lots of tips along the way because you get a video that's going to walk you step by step to make every card with you. I'll be stamping right alongside of you. In addition to that, you're going to get a PDF tutorial, okay, that's going to give you cutting dimensions and supplies so that you can pre-cut your own pieces if you want to make other cards at home. Remember, your kit is already pre-cut, so designer paper, cardstock pieces are all included. And then, of course, lastly, 2 of these. Isn't this adorable? This paper is so much fun. If you want your cards to look exactly like these here, I will have a list of supplies over on my website at lisasstampstudio.com of the ink pads and the Stampin' Blends and the things that you're going to need. If you have products at home, you are welcome to substitute. It is any $50 product order. Okay, so let me flip the camera around. I don't know about you, but I don't know. I don't dig the talking hands thing, so I'd rather talk to you and I could see your comments at the same time. All right, so the ordering dates for March are March 13th through March 16th, and I have a promised mail date no later than March 23rd. And I think you guys know, if you've bought your card kits from me before, that I always send them as quickly as I can because I know how excited you are to get them. Cheryl Ann says, oh, love the colors, great for sunny South Florida. Yeah, they're really cheerful, aren't they? I love this stamp set. I think it's going to work great for young and old alike. That old-fashioned apothecary jars with the candy are really different, and I'm really enjoying this. Okay, that takes care of the card kit. Now, Sandra asked me what the card kit was for the remainder of the Stampin' Up! Catalog year, which, by the way, second quarter. Thanks, Mom, for the reminder. I appreciate that. I did remember. Go figure. So second quarter. So that would be April, May, and June. We don't know June yet because we have a brand new catalog coming out in June. I will not know what that's going to be yet. I want to give you a new stamp set. I'm going to be attending Stampin' Up's convention in April, and I know I'm going to get some free products, so it'll probably be something that we get. I just don't know what it's going to be. Let me tell you what it's going to be for April and May. I'm looking at my cheat notes. That's what this is. April is Bloom by Bloom Bundle. That is the stamp set and the quad of punches. Those cards, oh, they're wow. You guys are going to love those. And then in May, yep, I want to make sure I'm in May. Yep, in May, by your popular choice, because if you will remember, I did a poll on our VIP page and I gave you guys choices. So this is what the majority wanted. They wanted the Happy Tails bundle, which was the stamp set for the dogs with the dog punch. But I got great news for you. I designed those cards so that if you prefer the cat stamp set with the cat punch, you can substitute it. I know, how cool is that? I do have them already designed and ready to go. I work ahead because you know what? Life gets busy. So whenever I can grab some time, I work ahead, I design. There's a large process involved of photographing and editing, making the introduction video, the video for you to stamp along with me from home with, and of course all the tutorials. So there's a lot of work involved. So I work ahead when I can. And of course, June, don't know yet. I see a question here. I'm scrolling. Sandra, she spent all day today making February's Butterfly Gala. It was so fun. Thank you. You are very welcome. I love designing these kits for you, and I love that they go really right from my stamp table right to your hands. It's just such a warm feeling. Hi, Ruby. I'm glad that you could join us. You have missed most of tonight's live with Lisa Ruby, but you can go back and watch the replay here whenever it's convenient for you. All right, we've got one more prize control, and I'm going to give you some dates in just a second. So let me grab the last prize, and that is a Wink of Stella brush. So I've got that for a lucky winner. And then shuffle up your names one last time. Here we go. I've got just one. I want to make sure it's just one. Okay, I have one. And the winner of the Wink of Stella is Chris Harmon. Congratulations, Chris. You are the winner. I don't know. Did I see Chris on here tonight? She usually is on here, but I didn't see her this evening. So I'm going to attach that to her Wink of Stella. Get that in the mail to her tomorrow. I know I always say it, but I'm going to repeat myself for those of you that always hear it. I'm in business because of your business, and I am so grateful for every single one of you. If it wasn't for your shared love of Stampin' Up! Products and paper crafting, I wouldn't get to do what I love to do. So I am very grateful. Thank you so much. Any size order is always appreciated whenever you place them. Thank you for using the host code. It allows us to pool those orders together so that I can take the rewards and divide them up to you for your VIP product gifts. So that's just another way of just saying thank you. You know, a lot of demonstrators keep those for themselves, but I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want you guys to have them, which is one reason why I send you the gift list every month if you've ordered $50 or more, and you can choose what you like. So I hope you really enjoy that, and I hope that they make you feel loved and appreciated, because you certainly are. All right, so let's talk about the next dates. I'm looking over at my calendar. The next time I'm going to be live on YouTube is going to be Thursday, March 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am praying it's going to go better than it did last night. I am so grateful that I was able to finish the demonstration and show you all the cards before YouTube went haywire. I don't think it's going to happen again. It's never happened before. You know, glitches. We're at the mercy of technology, right? Okay, so Thursday, March 14th at 8 o'clock, mark your calendar. Of course, I will remind you. And then finally, the next Live with Lisa is on March 28th, which is a Thursday. So any $25 product order using the host code will automatically include you to this event for March, which of course will be brand new stamp sets and brand new tutorials. And of course, it's just my way of saying thank you for your order. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for being here with me, and thanks for your patience with the whole technology debacle. It's all over the place. I'm telling you what, social media has become increasingly popular and busy. It's like its own little traffic source. Thanks, Mom, for being here and helping me out. I always appreciate you. I love you all, and I'm so grateful for you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.